The 5 guys you meet in the portal. Since we're here at Portal Day, so these are the top 5 guys you meet in the portal. Number 5, the Wanderer. You see Alan Bowman and JT Daniels here. They're always trying to find that spot where it can finally be, my gosh, look at my hair. That's ridiculous. Okay, there we go. Sorry. But they're always trying to find that perfect spot. And for Alan Bowman, looks like it worked out well and that he's finally got somewhere where he's the unquestioned starter and he's flourishing. But then there's other guys who just never fit in anywhere. The Gunnar Keels of the world, the JT Daniels. They are the Wanderers, which is a great song from the 50s or 60s, I believe.
Yeah.
Dion.
Yeah. Dion sang that song?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, excellent.
These guys have set the table for all the guys on their third schools in 3-4 years. JT Daniels, especially, I think, is kind of like the face of multi-transfers at this point. But, yeah, there are guys who just wander till they eventually find a starting job. That's what Alan Bowman's done, and JT Daniels to a degree as well. So, yeah, there's only so many spots, and I don't know, man. I think it's just kind of crazy how you end up at 3 or 4 schools, but that's where we are in today's landscape.
Well, who was the player I mentioned earlier today that went to 4 high schools? The kid from Wisconsin transferring to KU. 4 high schools, 4 years, 3 colleges in 3 years, and now he has probably another year or 2 left of eligibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 4, the clueless NIL chaser. I'm going to keep going from spot to spot until I get more money. Oh, this one's going to give me $25,000 more or whatever. These are the guys that I think are more of a minority than people realize, but there are guys that, they're somewhere and they think, oh, I'm going to get this much more money, I'm going to go, and then it doesn't always work out for them.
When you're Baylor and you have your football coach, the offensive line coach, leave to go to Alabama, who brought in 2 or 3 offensive linemen, and you then go through all of spring because you should, and yet you're about to get a check, are those the ones that Dave Aranda and company need to watch the most in the next 3 or 4 days? Isn't that, because then you go to another place and get another check? Isn't that just an example? And that's the guys you have to protect. Otherwise, that's kind of who you're looking at there.
I would think so, a little bit. Of course, I mean,
if they're good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, based on what we've heard about the O-line, I don't know who's leaving to go get a big NIL check,
Yeah.
honestly. But, yeah, I mean, there's guys who definitely overvalue themselves or have bad advice in their ears. I'll say that. I think that there are people who are, working with an agent or someone like that aren't the big-time players that maybe have some false seeds planted as far as what their total value is. So, yeah, I think there's probably some lost in or confused about how that actually all works. And, yeah, I think that the NIL thing is not as cut and dry. I think some guys probably look at, On3 and they're like, oh, I'm worth this much money, and it's not really the truth at all. They're not worth, $3 million or whatever. So there's just a lot of confusion in general, I think, about what that market actually looks like or how it operates.
Number 3, the 4 and 5 star bust. The guys that, listen, people will chase them around until their eligibility is over because they were so good in high school. But ultimately, they hit their peak there. There are a lot of these type guys in the portal. They just didn't work out. For whatever reason, they were injured or, didn't pick the right fit or just, again, at their physical peak. Texas had a lot of these guys for a long time before there was a portal. And you get all these guys who are high-star athletes, but they're just not the guys that fit who you are. And eventually they kind of wander around as well. But the 4 or 5 star buster are huge numbers of the portal.
I don't know how prevalent it is now because I don't follow recruiting on a day-to-day basis like I used to, but back when Rivals was King Bee in all of the recruiting world, definitely there was Texas bumps going on left and right. Mm-hmm. And I know that they weren't the only program, but there were guys that, they're very much a 3-star, they're committed to this school, and all of a sudden Texas shows interest, and it's like, we magically stumbled upon new film, and we've added a 4-star. And that happened, I don't know how many times, but...
quite a bit.
Oh, it happened a lot. And so then what happens? Well, this guy's a 4-star. He's supposed to be really good. Why is he taking more than a year to develop? What the hell? Why is he overrated? Well, I attribute some Not a lot, but some of it to that. Just the 4 and 5 star bust in general. But yeah, nowadays, I mean, you listed out all the reasons why, and it's any number of options that you put out there is the reason. There's some guys who have peaked, some guys who are making NIL right out of the gates, haven't proven anything yet, and feel like their S doesn't stink, and that they're just they're stars based on the stars listed next to their name or what they did in high school. So yeah, and just you're not always going to hit too on your rankings. I mean, you're going to think some guys are better than they are, and you're going to underrate some guys as well, and that's all part of the competition and the fun of seeing how they shake out on the other side of it. It's not an exact science, and it never will be. But it always is interesting to see those really highly – like the guy I think of these days is Damon Demas. Mm-hmm. Now, he got sideways because he got in trouble, but you talk about a dude that was hyped up to be like the next Randy Moss or something and did nothing in college. I think he's trying to work his way back. He was in JUCO last I saw. But yeah, there are always guys like that every year.
Yeah. Number 2. The 3 to 4 years left developmental guy. Sori Robertson, that's a nice pick here, Emery, for this one. But these are the ones I think that are the most valuable in the portal because most of these guys went to a program. Maybe they're blocked at a position. Maybe they're just slightly not as good as the guy at the same position who's a year ahead of them or the same year. Coaching change, different, whatever, different system, all those things. These are the ones where you really build your value in the transfer portal is getting guys who haven't really even started their college career yet. And because of the ever-shifting world of the coaching landscape or whatnot in college athletics, can come and be good, solid contributors to your program that you can keep around for a couple years as opposed to one-hit wonders.
Yeah, I mean, Sawyer Robertson is a good example of that. Now, though,
well, I mean, he could leave again.
He could leave
obviously
now based on the new lack of rule that was in place when he first arrived. But, yeah, I mean, those are the guys you hope to hit on that you can actually take some time and breathe with. But seems like that's getting harder and harder to do. But certainly if you can land some guys like that, it's just so hard to plan for the long term. Like how many of those guys can you get and then, shoot, you don't even get to see them in year 3 because you lost your job because these guys took too long to develop. So it's a really interesting combination you have to try to hit, and I don't envy these coaches, even though they get paid well to do it, but trying to figure out exactly how all the puzzle pieces fit together, more so than ever before, because you could kind of let guys linger. But, yeah, if you can find guys like that to really slow cook, that's what college football is supposed to be. That's actually what it's supposed to be, is having not guys 5-star freshmen come in and start talking NFL right away, but having the guy come in that actually redshirts. And then he, works and develops and gets better. And then by the time he's in year 3 or so, then, yeah, you start to see him contribute. But we kind of just, fast forward through some of that nowadays, it feels like.
Yeah, absolutely. And number 1, the actual star players. There are guys who are actual stars that will help you right away. Those guys happen, but they're not as everywhere as you think. I would say Quinshon Judkins, actual star.
Yeah.
Caleb Downs, actual star. Walter Nolan, Evan Stewart, those guys, actual stars. Damian Martinez right now, actual star. But, again, those are way more rare, especially given the fact that there's thousands of people in the transfer portal. But you will occasionally encounter an actual star.
Yeah, you're right. And this first week so far has been kind of dormant with the actual start. Martinez was actually before it opened, but it counts towards this particular window. I have a feeling there might be 2 or 3 times, not I say 2 or 3 times, maybe 3 to 5 names after the weekend where you go, oh, now whether or not they end up going, I don't know where they're going to be or who they're going to be or where they're from, but you might see more of those on Monday or Tuesday next week.
Yeah. I mean, maybe as the spring games close up, there's so many different situations that it wouldn't be surprising if there's a few splashes, and hopefully there is. I mean, just for entertainment value, because we talk about the portal so much, you want to get the bang for your buck, and we've had some splish splashes, but yeah, nothing in the terms of a game-changing sort of wave that changes the narratives about particular teams or maybe even conference races like the quarterbacks did back in December and January. But, yeah, it's always interesting. It sucks if you're on the losing end of it. If you're an Oregon State fan right now, you're probably sick and tired of hearing about Damian Martinez, as good as he was for you. But, yeah, these are the ones that pop the most as the stars and and following their paths of where they ultimately end up. And I count myself as somebody very intrigued by both the guys pictured right there and anybody else that's on that level or higher that might join in the fray. So, yeah, there are stars to be found, but, man, the race for them is tougher and more expensive than it ever has been previously.